You ever wake up thinking it's just going to be another boring old Tuesday? Maybe you'll mow the lawn, maybe not, who cares? And then you step outside and realize your neighbor has literally gifted your private lake to her kid and then calls the cops on you. I'm not kidding. That's how my day started. And by the end, I found out the only thing crazier than HOA politics is what happens when you push back hard. My name's Dave Morgan, and this is the story of how I went toe-to-toe with the most entitled HOA Karen I've ever met, and somehow came out on top holding every card in the deck, even when I thought I was dead in the water. So picture this. I roll out of bed, shuffle onto the porch, coffee barely cooling in my mug, and I spot this giant wooden sign right there beside my lake. Like, this thing is legit. Shiny varnish, big engraved letters, looks expensive, and it reads Morgan Memorial Lake, a gift from HOA President Jenna Roberts to Jesse Roberts. And right under that, smaller letters, dedicated for our community children. I blinked, did a double take, thinking maybe I was still dreaming, but nope, there it was, right in my face. And then I hear this high-pitched laughter coming from the lakeshore. I look over and see this kid, Jesse, perched on a lawn chair, phone out live streaming to God knows how many friends, yelling, "Yo guys, welcome to Jesse's Lake." Thanks to my mom. I basically run this place now. Pool party this weekend, who's in? You ever have that moment where your brain just locks up for a second? That was me standing there like an idiot, coffee halfway to my lips, picturing all the times I'd sat by that lake fishing building, little fires just unwinding after work, and now it's being offered up like a public park on Instagram. So I walk down there trying to keep it civil and say, "Hey Jesse, how about you put the live stream away and take down that sign? This is private property." He just snorts, waves his hand at me like I'm some bug and says, "My mom's the HOA president, dude. She did all the paperwork. It's community land now. Everybody's invited. Community needs, you know." The attitude on this kid, you'd think he owned half the county. I try again just to be sure I'm not being punked. "Your mom did what now?" And he rolls his eyes, shoves his phone in his pocket, says, "Look, man, community first. Deal with it." Before I can even decide whether to laugh or lose my mind, Jenna Roberts herself comes striding down in a blazer like she's about to host a press conference. And she is just smooth. You know, "Howdy, Dave," she says, all sugar. "We had a long HOA board vote, and it was unanimous. The lake is for the community. Think of the kids. It's a real asset." She could sell ice to an Eskimo, I swear. I just swallow hard and say, "Jenna, that's my private property. Always has been." And she's got this look like she just drew her trump card. She snaps, "If this guy is harassing my son or threatening kids, that's a community safety issue." And then with me standing right there, she whips out her phone, dials 911, and puts it on speaker for the whole world to hear. "Yes, I'd like to report a dangerous man threatening children at the lake behind the Morgan property on Elm Street. I'm terrified." Let me tell you, nothing gets your adrenaline going at 8 a.m. Like having someone try to sick the police on you in your own backyard. 10 minutes later, sure enough, squad car rolls up. Officer Ramirez, tall mustache, the calmest man I've ever seen under pressure. He listens to Jenna's whole performance, then turns to me and asks for my ID and property deed. I hand it over and he just looks from the sign to the paperwork back to Jenna. "Ma'am," he says, "this is clearly private property with valid ownership. If you have HOA authority that says otherwise, let's see it." She stammers, turns red, and Officer Ramirez, polite as can be, says, "You can't just put up signs or call 911 claiming trespass. You'll have to remove this sign." Her face, "God, I wish I'd taken a picture." She yanks Jesse by the elbow, mutters, "This isn't over," and storms off. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Wrong. The next week, my mailbox starts filling up with sealed HOA violation notices like some kind of bad joke. First one, overgrown native oak by the water fine, $400. Second, excessive nocturnal wildlife sounds disturbing community peace, fine, $250. Third mosquito risk from standing water fine, $750. All signed by Jenna, all due in 7 days, with an extra administrative fee tacked on for good measure. I'm staring at $1 and $400 in fines for existing. I actually sat there thinking maybe I should sell and move somewhere where people mind their business, but then I couldn't. This place, that lake, it's what I worked my whole life for. Then, just when I'm about to lose it, I get an email from Carol Evans, the HOA's longtime bookkeeper. 8 years solid lady, never crossed anyone. She's nervous as heck. She says, "Dave, I can't sleep." Jenna's pushing through a $30,000, $1,000 lake remediation plan, no invoices, no bids. Next week, she's proposing a $50,000, $1,000 expense to the board. I have to sign off, but something's off. All the payments go to a company called Roberts Environmental Services, Jenna's family business. She says Jenna threatened her too. If you raise questions, you'll be in trouble. Now that's my angle. I tell Carol, let me know when you can meet. Saturday morning, she pulls up shaking but determined. She lays out the so-called expenses, $18K for lake cleanup, $12K for safety consulting, to $10K for landscaping. All signed off by Jenna, and now she's gunning for another $50,000, $1,000 emergency cleanup for my lake. I say, let's double-check the HOA charter. We dig out the original documents, and boom, turns out when the HOA was formed, the neighbors had insisted on a separate budget manager role, someone who could approve or freeze any expense over $5,000 to keep the president honest. And guess who's still listed as the budget manager? Yours truly, elected back when we first set this up, way before Jenna was even on the board. Monday evening rolls around, emergency HOA meeting. Jenna comes in with a whole PowerPoint presentation, pictures of the lake, looking like the creature from the Black Lagoon lives in it charts, and a dramatic proposed budget, $50,000. She calls for a vote. Most hands go up, and Carol goes to transfer the money, but the account is frozen. On the big screen, transaction denied. Account frozen. Jenna turns white. The bank rep dials in on speaker and says the budget manager has suspended this account for investigative review. The whole room turns and looks at me. I stand up, wave the document, and say, "That's me. I'm the budget manager, elected in 2020, and I have the authority to freeze an audit." The place goes dead silent. That's when I dropped the hammer. I showed the transaction records. Every community expense went to Jenna's company, her son Jesse, even her sister's catering business. $5,000 to Jesse for youth liaison, $18,000 to Roberts Environmental, $14,000 to her sister's catering, and $110,000 to a new entity she set up 4 days ago called Green Elm Community Fund. She tries to say it's all for charity, but I've got the newly registered docs created right after the last board meeting, and Carol confirms every detail. The room starts buzzing, neighbors whispering, heads shaking. Then out of nowhere, Karen from 2 doors down stands up and says, "That explains my noise violation." Somebody else shouts, "So my pool party was paid for by us." There's a burst of laughter and anger. Then Nina, the quietest neighbor we have, stands up, never says a word at meetings, and says, "I motion we remove Jenna as president and refer everything to the district attorney." People start clapping, shouting, voting. Jenna bolts for the door, Jesse trailing behind, pale as a ghost. I walk up and say, "This HOA is supposed to be about community, not personal gain. We'll rebuild it together." Carol is beaming. Of course, Jenna tries one last Hail Mary, calls the cops on me, claims I hacked the HOA. Officer Ramirez shows up again, listens to her ramble, and I hand him everything: certified appointment, all the paperwork, even transcripts of Jenna threatening Carol. He shakes his head and tells Jenna, "You need to leave, ma'am." The charges fall apart, and pretty soon, Jenna's facing real trouble: embezzlement, fraud, coercion. She breaks down crying when the DA tells her she'll be arrested if she doesn't cooperate. Jesse just stands there, looking like he's aged 10 years, and whispers, "Mom, I'm sorry, I didn't know." Weeks later, I tune into the Zoom hearing and watch Jenna plead guilty, 18 months probation payback, $65,000, and she's banned from any HOA role. Jesse sells his fancy motorcycle, moves in with his dad, starts volunteering around town to try to make things right. Carol's the new CFO now, and we run everything transparent as glass monthly audits, lakeside coffee with the neighbors' actual democracy. The lake's still mine, but you know what? If somebody wants to borrow my kayak, all they got to do is ask. So that's how we got our community back. Justice, you could say, and maybe a little hope too, but let me ask you, is it ever really over with people like that? Have you ever had a Karen try to run you out of your own home? Did you fight back? Or did you walk away? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. Good, bad, crazy, doesn't matter. And if you like a little suburban warfare with your coffee, hit subscribe and share this around. Who knows? Maybe it'll help the next person standing up to their own HOA nightmare.